for us is really about personalization. Every student is an individual person in the district that we're working with, individual child with individual strengths, individual needs, and how we personalize what we're doing to support them, and making sure that our kids know that they have someone there for them.
Welcome back to another episode of the Powercast. On behalf of Power School and my co-host, my brother from another mother from California, Jeff Pelzel, we want to welcome you back to the show. And before I allow Jeff to introduce our guest, I always want to make them feel welcome. So I did bring a little something in honor of our guest from California. Just to get the mood started, I'm going to bring back my Jess Spicoli days of bodyboarding, and I'm sure I lost a couple of teeth when I was trying to do that. So, Jeff, please, without further ado, will you introduce our guest?
Absolutely, Rick. We're glad to be here this morning, and it's really my honor to introduce Dr. Brian Markarian, who is the superintendent of the Hawthorne Unified School District. And, Brian, California is so unique because we have these structures. I remember when I came from Washington down to California, I'm like, isn't every district a K-12 district? No, there's K-6, there's K-8, there's 7-12, there's 9-12. So many nuances that are going on, and then about a year and a half ago, I had the pleasure, I can still remember walking into your office, Rich Veska, your account manager, and I walked in and we just had this amazing conversation, and it's launched into this, what I consider a really tremendous partnership. And I just would love for you to be able to tell a little bit about Hawthorne School District and, what makes it a special place for you to be the superintendent of that unique school district.
Sure. Let me start by saying it's an absolute pleasure to join you both here, and how much I appreciate the partnership and the opportunity to speak with you today. In the Hawthorne School District, we serve approximately 7,000 students in 11 schools, pre-K through 12th grade. We're mainly a K-8 school district, but we have a dependent charter high school, Hawthorne Math and Science Academy. And we're just southeast of LAX, big landmark in the area. 90% of our students are what's called unduplicated count here in California, which means they qualify for free and reduced lunch, or English learners, foster youth, or possibly 2 or 3 of those categories. The Learning Policy Institute has designated us as a positive outlier district for academic achievement. All 3 of our middle schools are California Schools to Watch, designated by the California League of Educators. And HMSA, our high school, is a 2-time National Blue Ribbon high school. When I think about what makes it so special here in Hawthorne, I've been in the Hawthorne community for 25 years, followed a superintendent that worked in the district for 40 years. This is a place where people come and stay, so there's a lot of stability. That also applies to our board. We have one of our board members celebrating 25 years of service on the board this year, and I think what that allows is for a deepening of culture as opposed to a constant restart or reforming of culture as new leaders and staff come in. And I really think that does help to make us the special place that we are.
It's interesting. I just want to say, so I thought the district where I had the longevity. Like, we had a superintendent that was there 30 years and then 18, 40. That's just crazy. And same thing like board member. I remember when I was there, a board member that was like in year 22, 24, you've got 25. Like, that stability is, I often said that was the secret sauce in where I was at in Newhall School District, was that longevity does really help in terms of seeing systems through and change and all of that kind of stuff. So wow, that is absolutely amazing.
25 years, I'm the new kid on the block over here in our district. That's just how it goes.
40 years, I was lucky to make it 40 months. Nowadays, that is unbelievable and quite the anomaly in our profession, I would say. And before we jump into core values, I want to learn a little bit about you, if you don't mind. Can you share just a little bit about your history, kind of your why of education? And I did read that you were in HR, so just a little bit of your experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I didn't start out, going to school. I didn't think I would be an educator. I was my degree's in finance, which is where I thought I was going to be working, and entered that field for a while and didn't find it to be very fulfilling. And went back and took a job as a substitute teacher, started working in schools back in Boston. and very quickly realized that that's where I wanted to be, working with kids and making a difference in that way. So I just went all in at that point and got my teaching credential back there in Boston. I've been out here in California for almost 25 years and have had a number of positions from classroom teacher to English learner support specialist, assistant principal at the middle school, principal at the elementary level. I've run the ed services team here and a human resources team in Hawthorne, and then I'm in my third year in the superintendency.
Wow, that's quite an extensive and very diverse set of experiences. I'm sure in HR you have, like me and Jeff, you can tell that we would interview together like stepbrothers, because like the movie Step Brothers would come in and interview as a tandem, because clearly we had to plan our outfits, as you very well see. Yeah, we didn't do that on purpose. So we wanted to make it special, but not that special for you. But on a serious note, core values, when you think about your school district and your leadership, share some of your core values and kind of how you got there.
Yeah, as a school district, we've identified our core values really around six principles, six areas. The first being most important, that students are first in all decisions, and that just permeates everything across the district, all the thinking, all the interactions, and it's genuine here. So when it comes to even working with our unions and the way in which we interact, that it's always kids first, and it's one of the things I'm so proud about in the district. We also know that we have a personal commitment to excellence for everybody. So in whatever capacity you're working in, whatever way you're serving the district, serving students, that's an expectation here. Safe and supportive learning environments, making sure that we're maintaining that for our kids, that also have a focus on innovation and supporting partnerships with local businesses, private and public agencies, knowing that we don't do this work in isolation, that it takes partnerships to make that happen. And also that all individuals within the district, again, whether you're a family, student, staff member, are treated with respect, integrity, equality, and dignity, and making sure that everybody feels supported here. And then finally, just empowerment, that we empowerment and accountability, that everyone's empowered to be part of the decision-making process, and everyone's held accountable for our role in serving and supporting children.
I love it. Jeff, let's keep going. This is rock. I mean, he's killing it.
Yeah, and what I love your, mission, vision, tagline, every student, every day. I mean, I'm curious, how long has that been in place? And what's the significance? I mean, it's simplicity, but it says so much in what you're doing. So talk a little bit about that, Brian.
Yeah, we have our strategic plan, and we really try to distill that down into what is the type of motto or action statement that everybody can connect around and rally around, and that every student, every day, for us, is really about personalization. I mean, it's that every student is an individual person in the district that we're working with, individual child with individual strengths, individual needs, and how we personalize what we're doing to support them. And making sure that our kids know that they have someone there for them. There is someone who cares, there's someone that connects with them, and really making sure that they know that they have champions. I mean, that's what it's really all about. So we know that every day matters, every hour matters, every minute matters with our kids, and we're here to serve them in every way they need.
I love. Go ahead, Jeff.
Quick, yeah, just real quickly. So, Brian, knowing that that's kind of where you're at, when you're interviewing or hiring, like, how do you try to tease that out? I'm just curious, especially with your HR background, like, how do you draw that out?
Well, that's one of the most important things we do, right? The people that we bring onto the team. And I think that's part of the reason with our longevity and stability. I think we do a really good job of making sure that we have the right fit for people that come in to do this work here. And, I used to love being I'm not in the interview process much anymore now, obviously in my current role, but I took so much pride in human resources and knowing that, that letting people in to this organization, we feel like this is a place where we should be honored to do this work with kids. And I feel like we can pick up on that very quickly in the interview process as to whether or not someone's here for the right reasons. If they're committed to doing this work, it's challenging work. and they have to be all in to be here in the Hawthorne School District.
You mentioned innovation as part of your core values for the school district, and obviously AI is everywhere, anywhere you look. It seems like that's the only thing people are talking about. From a leadership standpoint, what does it look like? Your district's journey? Are you implementing? Are you having conversations? Are you developing, exploring? Can you give us a little bit on what that journey looks like in its current state?
Sure, yeah. And we've taken, I think, a really strategic approach to AI implementation and an inclusive approach. So we have worked very closely with our County Office of Education as a partner. So they've come in and done district-wide training with our staff on multiple occasions on just AI awareness, prompt engineering, implications and applications in the classroom. We have formed an AI exploratory team of about 50 educators who are in kind of a sandbox environment of really, playing around with different tools and resources to see how can we leverage AI to support our kids and support our staff. And really with that understanding that, it's not an ends, it's a means to do something else, right? So it's always about, okay, how can we use this to better serve and support? And we're now expanding that initiative to broaden it to include our families as well. So again, we're working in concert with our County Office of Education, their tech team, how we get authentic voice from our families to say, how do they provide input into what AI utilization looks like for their children, and hear what their concerns are as well as what their hopes are for how we can leverage AI to better support kids.
When you're looking at it from a global perspective, and even in your home district, what group of stakeholders seem to be the most challenging? Meaning, even getting education out, if it's families, if it's teachers, if it's leadership, where seems to be some of the bottleneck, or do you see any bottleneck, or do you feel like it's going about the rate that it should?
Well, I mean, I think the potential and the promise outweighs the pitfalls there. So I think, it's messy. It can be messy. And part of that is that I think in this space, the kids are always out in front, right? It's one of those areas where, we're following the kids and figuring out, okay, what are they already using? What do they know? And that's not to say that we're looking to restrict anything in the AI space or say you can't use this, you can't use that. But how do we make sure that our kids are also better consumers and users of technology and making this additive to what we're doing? And then you can run off in 1,000 different directions with AI. And for us, we really want to make sure that we are using AI in a way that is, coherent
Sure.
to this model that we have in place for supporting our kids.
Excellent.
Do you see AI like a resource for your teachers, or those discussions that are happening in your district to maybe save time, generate assessments, generate passages, differentiate? Are those conversations that are happening in your district? And then also, like, how do you see it, being like a companion, a support for kids and helping them on their learning journey? And maybe, one of the core values you talked about was like personalizing learning. And that's kind of what your mantra is about. I mean, those two things, supporting teachers, and then what about on the kid side?
Yeah, I think, teaching is hard work. It always has been. And I don't know if it's ever been more difficult than it is now in these last few years. So any way that we can lighten that load to allow teachers to focus on the most critical aspect of the work, which is directly supporting kids, we have to get behind that. So I feel like that's something where, there are a lot of efficiencies there that we want to utilize and make sure that if we can find time savers in ways that don't disconnect from the learning, but allow teachers to really do what they do best, which is to get in and drive instruction with kids, in tandem. That's what we want to do. For students, I think when we look at AI, promise, I look at, just in time intervention, making sure kids are getting exactly what they need, personalized, custom pathways for learning, and the ability to always, have access to a tool that's helping to inform their learning and their instruction. So I think there's so much potential there to have that resource always available for them in a way that is really customized personally for them.
If you were to put your human resources hat back on for a second, what's the task you offload first if you have the ability through artificial intelligence to automate? Is there anything that stands out like, man, I'd get rid of that thing right off the bat?
I mean, I think from the instructional side, it's the differentiation of instruction, right? So
Sure.
how is it that we really take, what might be one core lesson and give every kid exactly what they need, meet them exactly where they are with that lesson, and that's something that is very intensive, labor intensive for teachers. That I feel like there's a lot of potential for AI, and we're already seeing that. AI able to assist in that area. On the administrative side, we're also supporting our administrative team too, of trying to say what are some of those tasks that you're routinely engaging in that can free you up to then also be the instructional leader at your school site as well. And there's, we're finding lots of ways in which we can be more efficient with the use of AI.
Just curious, Brian, we alluded in the beginning about our partnership with you, PowerSchool's partnership with you as a school district. And, you've adopted our analytics and insight solution, behavior, MTS. I mean, you kind of went all in. You went all in as a school district recently around this. As you're reflecting on this journey this year, because this is, I think, your first year of utilizing a number of these resources, have you had aha moments or things that are like, wow, I can't believe we can do this now? Or just reflecting on, where you're at on your journey as your school year is rapidly wrapping up.
Yeah, I think, one of the benefits of implementing so many modules with PowerSchool and where the ahas come from is we see the dots start to connect between data points for students. So working in one system, one environment, and being able to bring in our comprehensive team of, behavioral support experts, academic support experts, social emotional learning experts, to then all of a sudden say, well, wait a minute, we're seeing a pattern emerge here, because now when we're talking about academic achievement, we're actually talking about attendance. When we're talking about attendance, we're actually talking about social emotional learning, right? So how is it that we're able to develop a robust profile of a student and then have our comprehensive support team come in and say, this is where that student needs additional support, right? So in every setting where we're having those conversations, there's some type of learning that we, or discovery that emerges where we say, wow, you know what, we would have missed this. We wouldn't have known that this was actually an attendance issue, or we wouldn't have known that the student's been having some struggles behaviorally in the classroom, and look, that's translating into what we're seeing here for academic achievement, right? So it's just made our data, it's broken down the silos, I guess, between our different departments, different support units, to make sure that we can support kids in a comprehensive way.
Very powerful. I mean, that's kind of where we want to get to, right? I mean, you're trying to get data so that you're not data rich, information poor. You don't want to have that. You want to have the data so that you can take action on it, which sounds like that's the direction you're finally able to be taking your district. So I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, and I think when we look at kind of our hopes and where we're going is really in, I guess, connecting the dots with the last couple of questions too, of this the AI integration, that eventually being able to almost talk to our data and say, okay, how do we respond and interact with this data set to really be even more accurate, more timely in our response to our students. And we're seeing those developments, come together now.
No, absolutely. And the impact for, administrators to make decisions and see in real time what a decision in one department, what that creates all across the entity or the school district, and see student outcomes as it relates to every decision is really, I think, what everybody is working towards, is just that insight in real time to know, all right, the decisions that we make, how do they impact the students and the families that we're serving? We were joking around. It's like one of the, you said, talk to your data. It's like, man, if I would have had that with board members and they ask a question that they didn't read their board brief, like, I'm sure that doesn't happen anywhere else, but
No.
but with me, but that would have been great. They could have just asked their Power Buddy chatbot and said, When did we vote on this? Is it in policy? Is it in the regulations? The amount of time for our staff to have to go find those things, like I'm like, sign me up. How do I get that yesterday? So there's a lot of great work happening, and it's good to hear that it's impacting not only your district but really and truly your students. So that's awesome, 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 awesome.
So Brian, as you think about, you're in year 3. So I mean it's kind of like I think about teaching. I remember when I was a teacher, that first year, second year, you're moving along, and now you're in your third year and you're hitting your stride and those kind of things. But what do you see as a superintendent? What's your greatest challenge that you're facing right now? The job, I know when I was in it 3 years ago, it's a daunting job. I mean, it's just there's so many things coming at you, so many nuances. There's a lot of things now I think about federally and other things going on, but what's the greatest challenge? And then I guess one of the things is, what's the secret also to longevity in a district, not even just in a superintendency? What's that secret for the longevity that somehow you guys have figured that out in Hawthorne, because you talked about that earlier? But what's the challenge? What keeps you up at night? And then what creates that optimal environment where people want to stay?
Yeah, I think, when I think about the greatest challenge, I really, right now, there's a lot of need on the part of students in our community. There's a high demand for services, and we're just at this point where we're seeing, a contraction in the fiscal, environment as well, where we're, whether or not the resources are going to be able to keep up with those needs in the out years, and I would say even in the short term. That's really for us, an issue to say, how do we continue these critical supports, knowing that the resources to deliver those supports, might be dwindling, and in addition to just uncertainty, uncertainty, especially at the federal level. What does that mean on a policy and fiscal front for us going into next year? I mean, in order to be effective in what we do, we have to meet immediate needs, but we also have to engage in long-term planning. The long-term planning is getting more and more challenging because we don't know, 3 years out, 4 years out, what can we count on, what might be there, what might not be there. So, I mean, that's, we look for ways to mitigate that by just being clear on what our core principles, our core purposes, make sure that we, funnel our resources to achieve that. But there is a broad range of need, and we want to make sure that we can continue to meet those needs. When it comes to the secret to longevity, I mean, I think it's just being clear, knowing yourself, making sure that other people know who you are, and as an organization that we know who we are. So, I mean, we have open, honest conversations here. I mean, you've got to know what are the things that you stand for, what are the things you won't stand for. And then you have to live up to that, right? I mean, this is the reason we have such positive relationships is trust. And it's because we walk the walk with who we are and what we do. And I think when you've known people for, when you've been serving side by side with them for 20, 25, 30 years, you get that built-in trust, which is, I think, another way in which we have an advantage here in our district, is that we're not constantly getting to know each other and earning that trust. We know that we're here to do this work together. And there's just a real bond that develops when you've done it for so long. And I think that helps to keep people here as well, because you do feel like you're part of a family.
Brian, you talked about your board, you like the one board member, 25 years. Is in general your board also fairly stable? I mean, do people run for multiple terms kind of thing? Because I think that often plays a part in it too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have a very stable board. They've all been certain multiple terms here on the board, and they understand, where we're going, why we're going there. They obviously also, helped guide, where we're going as a school district, and they're proud of the work that's done and their role in making sure that we're staying focused on supporting kids and families.
What are you most proud of?
I think any superintendent or any educator is most proud when you get out to a school site. You see kids that are, happy, healthy, supported, feel connected to the school. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? We can get bogged down in policy work and different things that we're doing, but getting out and seeing the impact on kids always makes me proud. And for us here too, another point of pride is we're a community schools district, and what that means is our services transcend the traditional model for schooling and what that looks like, where we have an in-district medical clinic that's open to all students, all families, for free medical services. We do K-12 dental screening for free for all of our students, vision screening. We have citizenship classes to support our families. We've got ESL classes for our families. We've got career training classes and support that we're offering for families. So it's really a holistic approach to leveraging our community to elevate our community. So how it is that we work here to all be better at what we do and all rise together.
So your district is truly the hub of the community. Everything is operating in and around the Hawthorne School District.
And that's the community school model, is that how do we bring services onto the school campuses to make them most accessible to our community.
That's awesome. That is music to my ears, and bless you and your team for doing that and making that a priority within your community and serving your students. Jeff, anything else? I know we've kept him longer than we had planned to. All right,
No,
quick. Who's your favorite?
The thing that I as I'm sitting here listening, Brian, it's like it's just a reminder of, with this job, this is what I love, these conversations, and it keeps me in touch with what's going on. And I'm very proud to partner with you, to work with you, and just hear this journey, because it's like, what jobs do they have open right now? It's like you want to work with the people in Hawthorne School District because there's something special going on, and you just really reminded us of what makes it such a unique place and the things that you guys have going on. So we appreciate you joining us this morning.
I appreciate it too. It's been a pleasure to join both of you, and again, we appreciate your partnership in doing this work for our kids.
No, absolutely, our pleasure, and thank you, and thank you to your board for the service that y'all provide. And we'll sign off with that. So you'll be seeing us real soon, Jeff and I, as we twin it up on the Powercast. So please like, subscribe, and if you're in the area of California, you want a fantastic community school district, you probably need to check out our guy here in Hawthorne. They're doing great things. So thank you for joining the Powercast. We'll see you next time.